Welcome to your favorite personality program, The Stewardship. My name is David Ojo. This program is proudly organized by the Office of the Civic Engagement led by Honorable Olatubosun Oyintiloye. Today on The Stewardship, my guest was once a member of the House of Representatives in the National Assembly, representing Ijesha South Federal Constituency. He is the Director General of the Ilerioluwa Campaign Organization, and at the moment, he is the Chairman of Osun State Universal Basic Education Board. My guest this day is Honorable Ajibola Famurewa. You're welcome to the stewardship.
Thank you, my brother.
And it's good to have you on our show
It's
today.
okay.
All right, let's talk about, we won't talk about, you being a member of the House of Assembly. We won't talk about you being a DG, but we want to dwell more on you being the chairman of SUBEB in the state of Osun. How has it been so far?
Well, thank you very much. If we're talking about SUBEB in Osun, we are going to consider many things. But let me first commend our predecessor in office. They actually did a very good job. But when we came on board, we've been putting things in place to make sure we raise the bar to improve on what they've done in terms of putting our school infrastructure in the right perspective, renovation of schools and construction of new ones, making sure that we make the school environment conducive for learning for both teachers and the students. Then making sure that we take care of interests of teachers and also the students in terms of their welfare. And we had a little problem at inception. That was we came on board at the peak of the pandemic crisis across the world. So I think for the first 8 months, we were unable to do anything. But when we realized, and when we later discovered that we can't just continue that way, we just have to find a way out and allow pandemic to be on one side and we do our things on the other side. Today, since we came on board, we've been able to renovate over 100 blocks of classrooms across the state. And the same way we constructed a lot of new classrooms for the use of our schools. And the construction, they were in different categories. We have a block of 2 classrooms, a block of 3 classrooms, a block of 4 classrooms, a block of 6 classrooms. In some places, we gave them a block of 8 classrooms and a block of 10 classrooms. And it cut across the entire state, across the 3 senatorial and all the federal constituency. Because in placing projects, there are a lot of factors we are taking into consideration. Yeah, we want to be convinced that they actually, need the infrastructure in that particular school. We don't just construct or renovate schools where it will not be used. The same thing in provision of furnitures for both students and teachers' use. We look at what number do they have on grant, what is the number of enrollment in that school. So that will determine the number of furnitures that we are going to give them. So that we want to correct we want to correct a situation where you just give a particular school furnitures and they will lock it up, and in some other schools they will be looking for furniture to sit down and they won't find one. So we are just trying to balance things up in that. And in placing projects, we for example, if you have a number of projects for a particular senatorial, we will make sure it cut across all the 3 federal constituency in that senatorial. And in a particular federal constituency as well, we make sure all our projects cut across all the local governments, so that everybody will feel the impact of government projects.
Mm. All right, you talked about renovation and building of schools. What's your success story in the rural area in terms of renovation and building of more schools?
In fact, I can say categorically that we concentrated more on the rural areas than the urban.
Mm.
Because if you look at urban, in the last administration concentrated basically on the urban centers. You know, you can see most of these mega schools in urban centers, you understand, but at the expense of the rural area. So this time around, we gave the rural schools more consideration than the urban. Not that we won't do anything in the urban, but we, tends to, maybe because I came from a rural area, and I just have to attend to my people. I'm a village boy.
Village boy, indeed. All right, let's talk about training and retraining, workshops of teachers. How far? Has it been any achievement so far?
So far, so good. We've done training, about 16 different training.
Wow.
And one is going on as we're talking now. We've trained teachers in different categories.
Can you just give us
mathematics and science. That's what we call SMAS.
All right.
We have the English and English literature, to prepare teachers on what and how to actually teach the students. Then we have on the quality assurance. We have on school management to head schools. Then we have what we call jollyphonics.
Okay.
That one, jollyphonics, is more of teaching, training teachers of early child education program, primary 1, primary 2, primary 3, because it has to do with language.
Okay.
How to, to train students. The kids. The foundation matters wherever we are doing. Wherever knowledge imparted into these children is what they're going to build on later on in their life. So we are just trying to make sure they have a very solid foundation. So we have about 15 different, categories of training for both primary school and junior secondary school teachers. We train them in the art of agriculture. We want to. There's a situation where we want all the schools to teach their students on agriculture, so that they will have the knowledge. How does it look like? All those things. So, in order to achieve that, we are training the agri teachers on how to impart knowledge on their teachers. So in different categories, we've been doing training for our teachers.
So how has these translated to the primary school, secondary school?
We have like the one we are doing now is a follow-up to the one we've done about 3 or 4 months ago. After teaching them, we have another set of a group of people that we monitor to see if those teachers that we've trained, if they are actually using the knowledge gathered during the training in their various schools. And that will now give us, that now lead us to the next level of training. Yes, if you've been trained on a particular level and we realize, we are convinced that you actually master it and you are moving on, then we can now teach you the next level. That is what is going on presently is the follow-up. Is the follow-up to the one we've done about 4 or 5 months ago.
So talking about monitoring, the department in your agency, how has it been so far?
Well, we are, in terms of monitoring, I think we are doing greatly well, more than what it used to be in the past, because we open another window for some of our people, independent monitors, apart from the career officers.
Okay.
Independent, there are some people that we saddle with the responsibility of monitoring all the SUBEB projects in their various local governments. Independent monitors. They are political appointees. They are not career officer.
Okay.
That's one, that has not been in place in the past. And myself, I'm an officer, monitoring officer. I do monitor on a daily basis. If I'm passing through any area, I can just branch in any school and see what is going on there. In both the activities within the school, the attitude of teachers to students, the attitude of the students in their environment, and even the infrastructure in that school, I will inspect and put up my reports. The same thing happens to all my commissioners, to executive secretaries, and all these political appointees that we're talking about. All of them submit their report on weekly basis. If you are from a particular local government, you will give you information. That's what they can work with. You give them the details of all the projects in their locality, vicinity, and they will now monitor all these projects. They will monitor schools in their environment and submit report to us on weekly basis. That will now help us to know where we need to work more to improve.
Right, if you just join us on our program, The Stewardship, my guest this day is the chairman of SUBEB, Honorable Ajibola Famurewa, and we'll be talking about the achievements so far. We're talking about the challenges, and we'll definitely talk about how far and how well. Honorable Famurewa, let's talk about instructional materials. This has been a big problem, especially in the primary, secondary school. What are you doing to make sure that this becomes a thing of the past?
Let me first appreciate Mr. Governor, because recently he approved some funds for us to procure instructional materials for all our schools. And let me also appreciate him for the grants, running grants of all the schools, both primary and junior secondary schools, that is being released as at Wednesday. I need to appreciate Mr. Governor for that, because in the past it has not been as smooth as we are having it now. I would say that the UBEC have a policy on instructional materials. Okay. They do supply states, but states also complement what UBEC supply us, and that we've been doing. We have more than enough. As I'm talking to you, I can say that categorically, because we have the
more than enough for the primary school.
For the primary and junior secondary school.
Okay.
For the primary and junior secondary school, because of the support from the states, apart from what UBEC is being released to us on a regular basis. So state is also supporting us in that direction. That makes us to be comfortable.
So you're telling us that if you go to any primary or junior or secondary school right at now,
except if they don't request. If you go to our store, you see a lot of materials there, and there are some that we give them regularly, and if they request for anything, then we give them. Because Bible even says, Matthew 7:7, if you ask, it shall be given unto you.
All right, asking and giving. That's the Bible verse that you're quoting now. All right, let's talk about sports activities is it junior secondary schools or even the primary school, because they say charity begins at home.
Yeah, in the UBEC policy and program, we have 1% of our matching grants that will go for sports activities in all our schools. We do procure sport equipment for our schools, and we do sponsor sporting activities in our schools. So that is to just prepare our students, for any future encounter in the sport arena. And I think with that, we've been able to identify some talents in different areas, both athletes and other sporting activities. So we have a sport department in SUBEB that we have an officer that mans the sports desk. So we relate closely with all the schools as administrators. And recently we We build lawn tennis court to some schools.
Okay.
We give them sporting equipment like table tennis and some other things. You know, all just to encourage sport activities in our schools. That will be done on a regular basis.
All right. All right, since your agency revolves around teachers, let's talk about the recruitment that was done recently. How far?
Yeah, we thank God. We thank God. Actually, it wasn't easy because we want to change the narrative in the states. We want to make sure we recruit the best of the best for our schools, and that was the Ministry of Education started by advertising, you know, calling people to show interest. Then the examination was conducted, you know, cut-off mark was set, interview was also conducted before we came up with the last 1,000. The state government actually, you know, intends to accommodate, to recruit 2,500 teachers.
Okay.
But in the first phase, 1,000 has been shortlisted, and the moment from now, possibly by next month, they are going to resume, while we start working on the next batch. The target is 2,500, and out of which 1,000, you know, will resume next month, just to make sure they complement the effort of the teachers that we in the service, to make sure just give our students the opportunity to be, you know, to be taught in the best way.
All right, still talking about this recruitment. The Office of the Civic Engagement, let me say the team, went out to do some, you know, some reports. And they found out that some schools, especially in the rural areas, are saying that on this recruitment process, that whoever wants to come to their domain must be from their domain, not from Oshogbo, going there and after a while they redeploy back to Oshogbo. What are you doing to make sure that this is possible?
Yeah, I think I also share that sentiment. And personally, I have a position that I've discussed with the Commissioner for Education, that before any teacher, you know, can be engaged, let that person write an undertaking that in the first 5 years, there won't be anything like transfer. You see, the problem of transfer is caused by me and you,
How?
the political class.
How?
We do month prayer on the appropriate authority to transfer. This person is my cousin, help me transfer him from this place to this place. This person is my uncle. This one is my niece. This one is my daughter. I've been saying it loud and clear. Immediately after these teachers, you know, after we engage them and they are posted to their various places of work, nobody should approach me for redeployment or reposting. I won't entertain that. And it's not necessary for us to recruit teacher from a particular domain. But there is a clause we are going to add to it. If you are a teacher, you must reside where you teach. Let me share this with you. In those days, when after our secondary school, that's what we call asusu, you know, just part-time teachers. Yeah, they will recruit us and post us to the rural area, like in Perindo in those days. You go there, you live there, then you come back to your base, you know. But for the Monday to Friday, you will be in that village. Then Friday, Saturday, you cannot come back to the town for. But these days, you know, but we are going to address that one, and I believe, because we are on the same page with the ministry on that one, that we must not, you know, repost after posting.
All right, let's talk about the effectiveness of home meal. You know, an healthy child is an effective child in the school. What are you doing to make sure that home meal still stands still like it used to be? And how effective is it?
Well, I can talk. I can talk on oatmeal from the perspective of being a parent, because that exercise is under the office of deputy governor.
Mm.
But I can say it. It was a program originated from the states before federal government take it over.
Mm.
Now, federal government is in charge of oatmeal,
Okay.
but I can tell you that that exercise, that program, has really helped our children,
Mm. In
at
what
least
way?
to be healthy.
Mm. Okay.
You see, not fingers are not equal. Not all the children can, have the opportunity to take those to balance diet. Let me use it that way.
Okay.
To balance their diets, but because of the introduction of that whole meal, it gives them opportunity to eat some type of foods that they cannot avoid in their home, like eating eggs, milk, fruit, chicken, and all those things. So, and this in turn help the children mentally.
Mm.
It even encourage more students to go to school.
Mm.
That's a sort of motivation for them. Oh, they know that they are going to school, at least after the normal class, they will eat, and they will eat something good.
Mm.
So they will be looking forward to that food. That will encourage them to go to school.
Mm.
That's another way of motivating our students.
And putting them back to
Yeah.
the education sector. All right, before I let you go on the stewardship today, what has been the synergy between your agency and the Ministry of Education?
Well, we've been working together. Ministry of Education is the coordinating body that formulates policy according to the rule. The ministry, they are to formulate policy, while the implementation will go to the agency. So most of the policy we are implementing today is being formulated from the ministry, and they have a supervisory role, not directly, but to assist them in their formulating, in the policy formulation. We need to give them report on what is happening in our place, so that will help them in formulating policy for that agency. So we are working very closely. Interestingly, the commissioner, the special advisor, and my humble self, we are from the same family politically. So you can see that working relationship will be cordial.
It's always nice having a chat with you, Honorable Hon Ajibola Famurewa.
Thank you, my brother.
All right, that is how far we can go on today's edition of Stewardship. Join us same time next week when we bring you another important personality. My name still remains David Ojo, and this program is proudly organized by the Office of the Civic Engagement, led by Honorable Olatubosun Oyintiloye. See you next week, and bye for now.